everybody, welcome in, welcome in. Thank you, Evie, thank you very much for the boop, I appreciate it. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're having a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night wherever you are in the world.
Hello there.
Hey Sly, how's it going? Emmy, nice job getting first, good job, good job. Yes, as you say, balance is restored until you fuck it up again. But it's fine, it's fine. Sly, thank you for getting second. Rolf, thank you for getting third. And thank you everybody for your daily check-ins. I really do appreciate your being here. Hey Snowy, how's it going? Evie, put that tongue away. Put that tongue away. A hydrate already? Really? Oh my god. Okay, fine. Fine, we'll have a hydrate. Oh, that's the wrong bottle for a hydrate. That's a dehydrate. Okay, hang on. Lovely, thank you. I have left those sound alert songs. I figure they're fine. They're fine. The Twitch alerts, yeah, they're a bit loud, but you can have the odd honk every now and then. I think a honk is ASMR, isn't it? Yeah, how's everybody doing? Welcome in, Zen. Appreciate you being here. I joined exactly when you started the stream. That was excellent timing then, Snowy. Good job, good job. Too low bass, can't quite hear. Yes, I did mention, my voice is a little rough today, so we're going to do this as long as I can, but I may need to switch to something else about halfway through stream, so if we do switch off from ASMR, don't be surprised. Anyway. Oh, the chances of getting a snowy early on the stream has increased by 75%. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Snowy. I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, how's everybody doing? How are we all feeling today? Hope you're all taking care of yourselves, guys. Oh, dear. I am very keen to carry on with some more good omens. Those are rookie numbers. Join an hour and a half before stream like a true champ. Yes, clearly you need to join. Just, you know, when I start even remotely thinking about streaming, that's when you should be in, clearly. Anyway, I appreciate your being here. Guys, as I mentioned on Monday, Reen has got her donathon tomorrow on Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, which will be Friday at 2:30 a.m. GMT time for anybody in Europe. So I do also have. Hang on, I set this up a bit more professionally this time. So I'm going to pass off to Past Jamie just for a few minutes, just so he can update you on what the donathon is about and why we would really appreciate any support you can give. Hey everyone. I just wanted to take a few minutes to explain Reen's situation and ask that, if you're able to do so, please contribute to Reen's donathon this Thursday. So to give you some background for those who don't know, Reen, aka Dark Reen, is a close friend of mine and a long-time supporter of my channel. If you've seen any of my clips, then you have likely seen or heard Reen in one of those clips. For over half a year now, Reen has been battling cancer for the 4th time. She is now having to have radiation treatment to deal with it. As a result of the treatment, one of the side effects, as many of you likely know, is that she is losing her hair. Because of this, Reen is holding a donathon this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, or Friday at 2:30 a.m. GMT time for my European audience, to raise money towards purchasing a high-quality wig so that she can have a sense of normality while going through this difficult time. To help her, and because this donathon might be quite late for my European audience, I will be asking you all to donate throughout this week to try and help Reen achieve this goal. I know I don't normally ask you all for donations, but given this situation, if you are able to spare anything, even if it's only $1, it would be greatly appreciated. I will pin the link to her Ko-fi in my chat, so please donate anything you can spare. Obviously, only donate if you're able to do so comfortably, but remember, even $1 is appreciated. Thank you all for listening. There we go. Thank you, Past J. Yes, as I said, any support that you guys can give is much appreciated. We have already achieved the goal thanks to a combination of Sly and Troll already getting those donations in nice and early, which has been amazing. Reen's been very grateful for the support. Thank you for the headpad, Zen. We appreciate it. Let me just post this link in chat. And I'm just going to pin this. There we go. Okay. Right. But yes. Hey, now I just want to help. I want to help Reen. She's been very supportive to the channel. She's been very supportive to me as a friend. She's done a lot. She's done a lot, and I know she does a lot for other people as well. She often goes above and beyond trying to support other smaller streamers as well. And she's very keen to help and build a nice, a nice comfy community where people try and look out for each other. And yeah, I just want to, if there's anything I can do to help, and this is all I can really do at the moment. Unfortunately, there isn't much more we can do. We have just got to help Reen any way we can, and just hope for the best. So, but yes, as I said, guys. Obviously, if please do not go overboard. Make sure that if you do donate, you do so comfortably. That you can still make sure that you obviously aren't putting yourselves into debt or anything like that. If you can spare even like $1, that'd be amazing. But only donate if you are able to do so comfortably. I appreciate that. Obviously, a lot of people, it's not safe to do so. So. Excuse me, Reen, showing up in my channel now. No, Zen, not your entire life savings, as I told you on Monday, and as Emmy told you earlier, no. Fine, only because I'm trying to support you. I do really appreciate you, Reen. I'm very grateful for you. You've been an amazing friend to me. Love you, Reen. Hey, Ghoul, how's it going? Welcome on in. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yeah, we're about to get started with a little bit of ASMR, a little bit of story time. Sly, thank you for the headpads. Oh, God. He said it. Alright, calm down, Reen, calm down. Deep breaths, come on. Okay, right. So, for anybody who is new or hasn't been here for when I've been doing these, we are currently reading Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. A very good book. It's been one of my favorites for a long time. Also, drink some... Okay, yep, let me just drink some tea, Reen, seeing as you've told me to. Yep, let me just enjoy some tea. Lovely, that's some good tea. Emmy, no bonk. Why are you bonking? I'm just doing what was asked. I should come over there and spank you. Reen, you're welcome to try. But I feel that you're the one who would be getting spanked. We said tea, you damn Brit. Wow. Zen, thank you for the hydrate. I'll take care of that as well. Is that a redeem, or do we just get that for being here? Oh dear. Ah, yes, there we go. We're a lot more refined now, seeing as you mentioned it. Yes. This fits more with the tea. Exactly. Good idea, Zach? No, not a good idea. Sakura, if you keep suggesting bad ideas, I will have to start using your nickname. Anyway, guys, as I was saying, if anybody who hasn't been here before for one of these, we are reading Good Omens. Excellent book. I really enjoy it. We are currently, it's reached Saturday, the last day of planet Earth. So yes, let's carry on reading and see what happens, shall we? You drink water for Zen? I did drink water for Zen. Oh my god. And don't listen to me? What do you mean? Jay, you better make yourself some tea with some ginger, lemon and honey. Well, technically, ginger... Wow, more hydrates? Please, Senor, have mercy. Lovely, there we go. I will be the honey. Well, I was going to say... Well, of course, Reen, of course, because, as we all know, you're too sweet. I'd rather take my whiskey neat. You're too sweet for me. Anyway, but yes, I will carry on reading and yeah, we'll get into it. Most psychic abilities are caused by a simple lack of temporal focus, and the mind of Agnes Nutter was so far adrift in time that she was considered pretty mad even by the standards of 17th century Lancashire, where mad prophets were a growth industry. More hydrates and killing me, honestly, so rude. So rude, Reen. Thank you, Zen. I appreciate the self-care, Zen, even if Reen is trying to kill me. But she was a treat to listen to, everyone agreed. She used to go on about curing illnesses by using a sort of mould, and the importance of washing your hands so that the tiny little animals who cause diseases would be washed away. Wow, and now you're throwing things at me as well, Reen? So uncalled for, so uncalled for. When every sensible person knew that a good stink was the only defense against the demons of ill health. She advocated running at a sort of gentle bouncing trot as an aid to living longer, which was extremely suspicious, and first put the witchfinders onto her, and stressed the importance of fibre in diet, although here she was, clearly ahead of her time, since most people were less bothered about the fibre in their diet than the gravel. Knock you out so I can have fun with you. Reen, down girl, down. Behave, Reen. That's a spicy onion. That's pretty on par for the onion. And she wouldn't cure warts. It is all in your mind, she'd say. Forget about it and it will go away. It was obvious that Agnes had a line to the future, but it was an unusually narrow and specific line. In other words, almost totally useless. How do you mean? Said Newt. She managed to come up with the kind of predictions that you can only understand after the thing has happened, said Anathema. Like, do not buy Betamax. That was a prediction for 1972. You mean she predicted videotape recorders? No, she just picked up one little fragment of information, said Anathema. That's the point. Most of the time she comes up with such an oblique reference that you can't work it out until it's gone past, and then it all slots into place. And she didn't know what was going to be important or not, so it's all a bit hit and miss. Her prediction for November 22nd, 1963 was about a house falling down in King's Lynn. Oh? Newt looked politely blank. President Kennedy was assassinated, said Anavima, hopefully. But Dallas didn't exist then, you see, whereas King's Lynn was quite important. Oh. She was generally very good if her descendants were involved. Chat, may I ask a favour from you all? Reen, what would you like to ask from chat? Please feel free to. Oh, I know what I have forgotten to do, guys, and I apologise for that. Here I am, and I'm trying to read, and I haven't got my glasses. Let me go to my redeems and switch that off, and I will put on permanent glasses. There we go, there we go. Much more refined. All of us give the fox a hug. Oh my god. Reen, you don't need to give me a hug. Hey, I do this because I want to help. Honestly. Oh. And she wouldn't know anything about the internal combustion engine. To her, they were just funny chariots. Even my mother thought it referred to an emperor's carriage overturning. You see, it's not enough to know what the future is. You have to know what it means. Agnes was like someone looking at a huge picture down a tiny little tube. She wrote down what seemed like good advice based on what she understood of the tiny little glimpses. You deserve it, Fox. Reen, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful. Thank you. Thank you, Sakura, as well. Thank you for the hugs. I still love that emote. For those who don't know, that emote of Reen's model hugging mine was a Christmas present from Reen, and I'm very grateful to her for it. One of my favourite emotes. It's my first proper custom emote, so that's pretty cool. You have such a kind heart and amazing friend. I'm lucky to have you in my life. Reen, I could say the same thing about you. Honestly, you have been very, very kind and supporting, not just to me and the channel, but to many other streamers as well. And I want to help and support any way we can in making sure that you're taken care of, because you've done so much to take care of other people. Sometimes you can be lucky, Anafima went on. My great-grandfather worked out about the stock market crash of 1929, for example, 2 days before it actually happened. Made a fortune. You could say we're professional descendants. She looked sharply at Newt. You see, what no one ever realized until about 200 years ago was that the nice and accurate prophecies was Agnes's idea of a family heirloom. Many of the prophecies relate to her descendants and their well-being. She was sort of trying to look after us after she'd gone. That's the reason for the King's Lynn prophecy, we think. My father was visiting there at the time, so from Agnes's point of view, while he was unlikely to be struck by stray rounds from Dallas, there was a good chance he might be hit by a brick. Sorry, the onion making you cry. Oh, Reen, honestly. You two are incredibly wholesome at times like this. Wholesome, I need to fix my rent. Reen, it's okay. You're okay. You can be wholesome. Folks, I want to give you Reen, you don't have to go overboard. It's fine. It's fine. Your reputation is intact. I've got a reputation. I've got a name to uphold. No, you're fine, Reen. You're fine. You're back, switching to mobile in bed. Emmy, that's quite alright. Get yourself nice and comfy, relax, take it easy. But yes, a fun fact, everybody. Something which Reen doesn't publicize very much. Reen is actually a very, very wholesome person. She's very sweet, very kind, and yeah. So it's nice when people get to see her be wholesome. Lower back hurts from streaming Guild War 2 for like 5 hours and being a shrimp. Oh my god, really? Really, Emmy? Come on, you need to take care of yourself. Clearly I'm not doing enough anti-shrimp mode redeems in your stream. Shut the hell up, Fox, I'm evil and lewd. You keep telling people that, Reen. You keep telling that. None of us are buying it. No, let him cook. Exactly, let me cook. I'm fueling with peach cider. Oh no, Emmy, no. Bad. What a nice person, said Newt. You could almost overlook her blowing up an entire village. Anathema ignored this. Anyway, that's about it, she said. Ever since then, we've made it our job to interpret them. After all, it averages out at about one prophecy a month. More now, in fact, as we get closer to the end of the world. Reen, why are you throwing stuff at me? And making me hydrate. So uncalled for. Exactly. Sakura specifically demanded self-care earlier. Why is nobody doing self-care? I specifically demanded it. Lovely. Thank you for the hydrate, Reen. I appreciate it. And when is that going to be? Said Newt. Anathema looked meaningfully at the clock. He gave a horrible little laugh that he hoped sounded suave and worldly. After the events so far today, he wasn't feeling very sane, and he could smell Anathema's perfume, which made him uncomfortable. Think yourself lucky I don't need a stopwatch, said Anathema. We've got, about 5 or 6 hours. Newt turned this over in his mind. Thus far in his life, he'd never had the urge to drink alcohol, but something told him there had to be a first time. Do witches keep drink in the house? He ventured. Oh yes, she smiled the sort of smile Agnes Nutter probably smiled when unpacking the contents of her lingerie drawer. Green bubbly stuff with strange things squirming on the congealing surface. You should know that. Fine. Got any ice? It turned out to be gin. There was ice. Anathema, who had picked up witchcraft as she went along, disapproved of liquor in general, but approved of it in her specific case. Reen, you're being an attention hoe. Shocking, so inappropriate. This fox gets it. This is why we love him. Hey, Sakura, I am always up for a good meme. Neglecting oneself is my job, don't steal it. I do not neglect myself. For instance, I'm going to hydrate right now, as Zen has asked me. Lovely. Thank you, Zen. Thank you for the hydrate. Did I tell you about the Tibetan coming out of a hole in the road? Newt said, relaxing a bit. Oh, I know about them, she said, shuffling the papers on the table. The 2 of them came out to the front lawn yesterday. The poor things were quite bewildered, so I gave them a cup of tea, and then they borrowed a spade and went down again. I don't think they quite know what they're supposed to be doing. Newt felt slightly aggrieved. How did you know they were Tibetan? He said. If it comes to that, how did you know? Did he go, when you hit him? Well, he looked Tibetan, said Newt. Saffron robes, bald head. You know, Tibetan. One of mine spoke quite good English. It seems that one minute he was repairing radios in Lhasa, next minute he was in a tunnel. He doesn't know how he's going to get home. If you'd sent him up the road, he could probably have got a lift on a flying saucer, said Newt gloomily. 3 aliens, one of them a little tin robot. They landed on your lawn too, did they? It's about the only place they didn't land, according to the radio. They keep coming down all over the place, delivering a short, trite message of cosmic peace, and when people say, yes, well, they give them a blank look and take off again. Signs and portents, just like Agnes said. Excuse me? Chat, he lied to you? I do not lie to you. Chat, I would never lie to you guys. You know, chat, you know that we have a very, very, very special streamer chat relationship. And as that relationship requires, I will always be honest with you. So do not listen to Reen when she says that I am lying. I would never do that. Right, let me do a quick posture check. Lovely. Thank you, Zen. Thank you for the posture check. I appreciate it. Excuse me. Excuse you. Honest. Yes, very honest. I'm nothing if not honest. You're gonna tell me she predicted all this too, I suppose? Agnes Lee threw a battered card index in front of her. I keep meaning to put it all on the computer, she said. Word searches and so forth, you know? It'd make it a lot simpler. The prophecies are arranged in any old order, but there are clues, handwriting and so on. She did it all in a card index, said Newt. No, a book, but I've mislaid it. We've always had copies, of course. Lost it, eh? Said Newt, trying to inject some humour into the proceedings. Bet she didn't foresee that. Anathema glowered at him. If looks could kill, Newt would have been on a slab. Reen, what's with the face palm? Why are you face palming, Reen? Come now. Thank you for the hydrate, Sam. I will take care of that. Oh, guys, we have ads coming in 30 seconds. So, as usual, when the ads come in, we will go to the BRB screen. We'll take a quick 2-3 minute break just while the ads are playing. So, guys, please use the opportunity to go stretch your legs, get some food, get a drink, whatever you need to do. And yes, we will come back very, very shortly. Sly, I know the ads, I know. Turn the water white it could be. No, Sen, no. You're not the first to have suggested that. Reen has beaten you to that by a long shot. Kill the ads or something else. Right, I'm going to put it onto the BRB screen. I will see you all very, very shortly. I'm a spoon. Oh, I'm a spoon. I read the second word of the first word. Not spoon. We're not spooning. No. I must soon put you to death.
In the way.
No, you're not. You're fine. No, you're fine.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. No, you're not. You're fine. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Don't tell me to shut up.
Because you're doubting yourself, and if you doubt yourself, I'm going to tell you to shut up. Okay.
Why did I think you said daddy?
Wait, what? Who said daddy? Oh, I said doubting yourself. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that I'm your sugar daddy or anything, but
shut your mouth. You are not.
If Olympus, if your
do you blip? Blip.
Well, if I'm giving you so much disrespect, then there would be no chance of you dumping subs on me tonight. Cause as a sugar baby, as you say I am, I shouldn't be disrespecting
Confession.
you.
Confession. That's confession. 100% clip that. Emmy. Clip it. Clipping it. Good job, Ronan. Thank you, Ronan. Nope. Fuck you. Nope, don't like that. Nope. Oh, God. Yeah. Don't like that. You did this to me. You.
Yes.
That, play the bullfrog there. I don't have many cards. I need to break open that one.
I know what else you could break open.
Oh my god. That was all of 2
Wait,
seconds.
did I say that out loud? My bad.
Yes, yes you did.
God damn it.
That was all of 2 seconds. I swear. Okay.
It could be longer than that.
Jesus. What a visual, guys. That's. What the hell is that?
You're mine,
Guys, we're gonna play with our balls again. You want answer? No, not yet, not yet. What do you mean you two? Why is everybody... It's been too long, okay? Look, the cube thing falls, and there's the portal up there, and I don't know how to get this through. I've only got one portal I can use. Never played, and even I know. What is this? What is this? God. Why is everybody being so mean to me? I can't fire a ball through there either. Okay, everybody shut up. Everybody shut up. Everybody shut up. I don't want to talk about it. Shut up. Let me in! Let me in! Let me in! Oh god, I clipped it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, welcome back everybody, welcome back. What have I come back to? What is this? Sly, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Oh dear. Okay, what did I miss up on? Oh, yes, you guys are dealing with the ads. It's Dragon, welcome on in. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a good day. Yes, we hope you're doing well. Oh dear. But yes, thank you very much for the gift sub. We appreciate them. Don't you take my #1 spot. Reen, I think you're slightly ahead of everybody else by just a smidge. Just a tiny bit. I don't think you need to worry about that. Anyway, you never know. Well, I think we're fine for the time being. Right, okay. I hope everybody took a quick break while the ads were playing and everything. Reen, by the way, have you checked your goal? Just wanted to double check that quickly. You might get a single hot mama who wants to shrimp for you. Somehow I doubt that. Reen, you might want to have a quick look. Eyeballs the 100 gifts. Zen, no, come on. That's far. That would be far too much. I just want to check if you set it up correctly, Reen. Zen, thank you for the hydrate. Let me take care of that. I missed this. It's fine, Emmy. Don't worry. Like I said, even if you don't have a sub, I still try to make sure that I minimize the amount of time that you miss from streams. Anyway. Anathema went on. We've built up quite a concordance over the years, though, and my grandfather came up with a useful cross-referencing system. Ah, here we are. She pushed a sheet of paper in front of Newt. Prophecy number 3988. When men of Crocus come from the earth, and green men from the sky, ye cannot know why, and Pluto's bars quite the lightning casts, and sunken lands riseth, and Leviathan runneth free, and Brazil is vert, then 3 cometh together, and 4 arise, upon iron horses ride. I tell you, the end draweth nigh. Ah, Sly, thank you very much for the gifted sub to Emmy. I appreciate that. I know somebody in particular especially appreciates that. Dragon, thank you for the lurk. I appreciate it. There you go, Emmy. You can enjoy the emotes for another month. There you are. There you are. Crocus equals saffron. Aliens, paratroopers, nuclear power stations. I didn't get all of this one in advance, Anathema admitted. I filled it in after listening to the news. You must be incredibly good at crosswords in your family, said Newt. I think Agnes is getting a bit out of her depth here. Anyway, the bits about Leviathan and South America and 3 and 4s could mean anything, she sighed. The problem is newspapers. You never know if Agnes is referring to some tiny little incident that you might miss. Do you know how long it takes to go through every daily paper thoroughly every morning? 3 hours and 10 minutes, said Newt automatically. Everything is good while you ask it works. I just noticed that your extended goal said it already been hit. I just wanted to check if that was correct, Reen. No. What do you mean? I mean on your Ko-fi, your $600 goal, extended goal, is showing as 108% complete. What do you mean it's not? See, I told you. Honestly, she never listens to me, guys. I swear. I swear. Ah dear. Ah dear. But yes, guys, for anything that Reen gets as part of her stretch goals, that is going to go towards things to help improve stream and everything. What the fuck? What? You lie? I don't lie, Reen. Reen, do you want me to send you a screenshot of what I can see right now? Actually, even better. Here you go. Where is the window capture? There it is. Let's set the window capture to be that. And we're just going to bring it up slightly in the order. There. Reen. What's that right in the middle there? What's that right in the middle? Reen? I see nothing. What do you mean you clearly weren't looking, I swear. Honestly, Reen. Anyway. But yes, thank you everybody who has supported Reen. Thank you for helping Reen with her goals. As I said, anything that gets added extra will all go towards improving her streams. And she is also doing stretch goals, and she has punishments as well, which I think she'll be doing pretty much all of Thursday night, so. Okay, anyway. I expect we'll get a medal or something, said Adam optimistically. Rescuing a man from a blazing wreck. It wasn't blazing, said Pepper. It wasn't even very wrecked when we put it back right side up. It could have been, Adam pointed out. I don't see why we shouldn't have a medal just because some old car doesn't know when to catch fire. They'd stood looking down at the hole. Anathema had called the police, who had put it down to subsidence and put some cones around it. It was dark and went down a long way. Could be good fun going to Tibet, said Brian. We could learn martial arts and stuff. I saw this old film where there's this valley in Tibet and everyone there lives for hundreds of years. It's called Shangri-La. My aunt's bungalow's called Shangri-La, said Wensleydale. Adam snorted. Not very clever naming a valley after some old bungalow, he said. Might as well call it Dunromin or Or the Laurels. It's a lot better than Shambles anyway, said Wensleydale, mildly. Shambhala, corrected Adam. I expect it's the same place. Probably got both names, said Pepper with unusual diplomacy. Like our house. We changed the name from the Lodge to Norton View when we moved in. But we still get letters addressed to VOC Coupier, the Lodge. Perhaps they've named it Shambhala now, but people still call it the Laurels. Adam flicked a pebble into the hole. He was becoming bored with Tibetans. What should we do now? Said Pepper. They're dipping sheep over at Norton Bottom Farm. We could go and help. Adam threw a larger stone into the hole and waited for the thump. It didn't come. Dunno, he said distantly. I reckon we should do something about whales and forests and such like. Like what? Said Brian, who enjoyed the diversions available at a good sheep dipping. He began to empty into his pockets of crisp packets and drop them one by one into the hole. We could go into Tadfield this afternoon and not have a hamburger, said Pepper. If all four of us don't have one, that's millions of acres of rainforest they won't have to cut down. They'll be cutting them down anyway, said Wensleydale. It's grass materialism again, said Adam. Same with the whales. It's amazing the stuff that's going on. He stared at Dog. He was feeling very odd. The little mongrel noticed the attention, balanced expectantly on its hind legs. People like you that's eating all the whales, said Adam severely. I bet you've used up nearly a whole whale already. Dog, one last tiny satanic spark of his soul hating himself for it, put his head on one side and whined. It's going to be a fine old world to grow up in, Adam said. No whales, no air, and everyone paddling around because of the seas rising. Then the Atlantisans would be the ones well off, said Pepper cheerfully. Huh, said Adam, not really listening. Reen, don't cry. Come now, Reen. It's all okay. Like I said, everybody here is very happy to support you. You've done a lot for a lot of people. We all want to help you. So just enjoy it, Reen. Just enjoy it. Something was happening inside his head. It was aching. Thoughts were arriving there without him having to think them. Something was saying, you can do something, Adam Young. You can make it all better. You can do anything you want. And what was saying this to him was him. Part of him. Deep down. Part of him that had been attached to him all these years, not really noticed, like a shadow. It was saying, yes, it's a rotten world. It could have been great, but now it's rotten, and it's time to do something about it. That's what you're here for, to make it all better. My heart hurts. Reen, come on. We just want to show you some love and support back. You're a good elf. You're a good elf, Reen. I was going to say, I should hope metaphorically. If it's physically, Reen, go see a doctor. Don't hang around in my streams typing messages. Go and see a doctor. Part of him that had been attached to him all these years and not really noticed, like a shadow. It was saying, yes, it's a rotten world. It could have been great, but now it's rotten, and it's time to do something about it. That's what you're here for, to make it all better. Because they'd be able to go everywhere, Pepper went on, giving him a worried look. The Atlantisans, I mean, because I'm fed up with the old Atlantisans and Tibetans, snapped Adam. They stared at him. They'd never seen him like this before. It's all very well for them, said Adam. Everyone's going around using up all the whales, and coal, and oil, and ozone, and rainforests and that, and there'll be none left for us. We should be going to Mars and stuff, instead of sitting around in the dark and wet with the air spilling away. Ah, Reen, that's so sweet. Well, Reen, we all love you too. This wasn't the old Adam the them knew. The them avoided one another's faces. With Adam in this mood, the world seemed a chillier place. Seems to me, said Brian pragmatically, seems to me the best thing you could do about it is stop reading about it. It's like you said the other day, said Adam. You grew up reading about pirates and cowboys and spacemen and stuff, and just when you think the world's all full of amazing things, they tell you it's really all dead. It's all dead whales and chopped down forests and nuclear waste hanging around for millions of years. It's not worth growing up for, if you ask my opinion. The them exchanged glances. Chat loves Reen too. I mean, I want to hold you seductively, chat. Reen, behave. Down, girl. There was a shadow over the whole world. Storm clouds were building up in the north, the sunlight glowing yellow off them as though the sky had been painted by an enthusiastic amateur. Seems to me it ought to be rolled up and started all over again, said Adam. That hadn't sounded like Adam's voice. A bitter wind blew through the summer woods. Adam looked at Dog, who tried to stand on his head. There was a distant mutter of thunder. He reached down and patted the dog absent-mindedly. Serve everyone right if all the nuclear bombs went off and it all started again, only properly organized, said Adam. Sometimes I think that's what I'd like to happen. And then we could sort out everything. The thunder growled again. Pepper shivered. This wasn't the normal them Mobius bickering, which passed many a slow hour. There was a look in Adam's eye that his friend couldn't quite fathom. Not devilment, because that was more or less there all the time, but a sort of blank greyness that was far worse. Well, I don't know about we, Pepper said. Don't know about the we, because if there's all these bombs going off, we all get blown up. Speaking as a mother of unborn generations, I'm against it. They looked at her curiously. She shrugged. And then giant ants take over the world, said Wensleydale nervously. I saw this film. Or you go around with sawn-off shotguns, and everyone's got these cars with, knives and guns stuck on. Reen, thank you for the hydrate, I appreciate it. I wouldn't allow any giant ants or anything like that, said Adam, brightening up horribly. And you'd all be all right. I'd see to that. It'd be wicked, eh? To have all the world to ourselves, wouldn't it? We could share it out. We could have amazing games. We could have war with real armies and stuff. Lovely, Reen. Thank you for the hydrate. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking care of me. But there wouldn't be any people, said Pepper. Oh, I could make us some people, said Adam airily. Good enough for armies at any rate. We could all have a quarter of the world each. Like you, he pointed to Pepper, who recoiled as though Adam's finger were a white-hot poker. Could have Russia because it's red, and you've got red hair, right? And Wensley can have America, and Brian can have Africa and Europe, and even in their state of mounting terror, the them gave this the consideration it deserved. Can I say, Fox, your voice is very hot right now? What do you mean? What do you mean, Reen? I hope my voice isn't too hot for you. Are we talking 1 chili, 2 chilies, 3? So deep and raspy. Ah, I see. I'll keep that in mind, Reen. Yes, no, maybe so. Slowly lifts up spray bottle and proceeds to spray Reen. A million chili? Excellent, excellent. That's pretty hot. That's pretty hot. Oh no, look, they're all wet. Huh, stuttered Pepper as the rising wind whipped at her t-shirt. I don't see why Wensley's got America and all I've got is just Russia. Russia's boring. You can have China and Japan and India, said Adam. That means I've just got Africa and a lot of just boring little countries, said Brian, negotiating, even on the curl of the catastrophic curve. Don't melt her like an ice cube. What? No, I'd never melt Reen. Ambershire, welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you very much for the follow. Actually, adding more chilies doesn't make something spicier. You'd have to put in a different, spicier pepper, like a Carolina Reaper or something else. What do you think, Reen? What do you think? Am I a Carolina Reaper? I wouldn't mind Australia, he added. Pepper nudged him and shook her head urgently. Dog's going to have Australia, said Adam, his eyes glowing with the fires of creation, on account of him needing a lot of space to run about. And there's all those rabbits and kangaroos for him to chase, and the clouds spread forwards and sideways like ink poured into a bowl of clear water, moving across the sky faster than the wind. But there won't be any Wensleydale Street. Adam wasn't listening, at least to any voices outside his own head. It's all too much of a mess, he said. We should start again. Just save the ones we want and start again. That's the best way. I'd be doing the Earth a favor when you come to think about it. It makes me angry seeing the way those old loonies are messing it up. Good point. Fuck you. I'm glad to hear you agree, Reen. I'm glad. Anyway, Emmy, I feel that the analogy of melting her like an ice cube isn't appropriate here. I'm thinking more about folding her like a deck chair. It's memory, you see, said Anathema. It works backwards as well as forwards. Racial memory, I mean. Newt gave her a polite but blank look. What I'm trying to say, she said patiently, is that Agnes didn't see the future. That's just a metaphor. She remembered it. Not very well, of course, and by the time it had been filtered through her own understanding, it's often a bit confused. We think she's best at remembering things that were going to happen to her descendants. I'm glad that I will fold you twice the times that you have with me. Reen, that sounds an awful lot like a challenge to me. Thank you for the hydrate, though. I will have a hydrate. Lovely. But if you're going to places and doing things because of what she wrote, and what she wrote is her recollection of the places you went to, and the things you did, said Newt, then I know. But there's some evidence that that's how it works, said Anathema. Oh god, I can't right now. Zen, you make an excellent point. Yes. Reen, for both of our safety, I think I'm the one who will be doing the folding of you. There you go. Just for safety purposes. Safety purposes, obviously. They looked at the map spread out between them. Beside them, the radio murmured. Newt was very aware that a woman was sitting next to him. Be professional, he told himself. You're a soldier, aren't you? Well, practically. Then act like a soldier. He fought hard for a fraction of a second. Well, act like a respectable soldier on his best behavior then. He forced his attention back to the matter at hand. Why Lower Tadfield, said Newt. I just got interested because of the weather. Optimal microclimate, they call it. That means it's a small place with its own personal nice weather. He glanced at her notebooks. There was definitely something odd about the place, even if you ignored Tibetans and UFOs, which seemed to be infesting the whole world these days. The Tadfield area didn't only have the kind of weather you could set your calendar by, it was also remarkably resistant to change. No one seemed to build new homes there. The population didn't seem to move much. There seemed to be more woods and hedges than you'd normally expect these days. The only battery farm into opening the area had failed after a year or two and been replaced by an old-fashioned pig farmer who let his pigs run loose in his apple orchard. Getting tongue-tied now, honestly. Gets out, Twister. Emmy, no Twister. That's fine, I could do the tongue twist. Yes, Reen, you're clearly trying to twist my tongue right now. Go play Twister or something. That'd be safer than folding. That's fair. That's fair, Zen. A good point. But time for me to head off for the night. Take care, everyone, and be whatever chill level of kind you can. Exactly, Sakura. Exactly. Yes, Reen. Yes, what can I do for you? Besides, throw you against a wall. The only battery farm to open in the area had failed after a year or two and been replaced by an old-fashioned pig farmer who let his pigs run loose in his apple orchards and sold the pork at premium prices. The two local schools seemed to soldier on in blissful immunity from the changing fashions of education. Behave, Reen, behave. I take some responsibility for that. Motorway, which should have turned most of Lower Tadfield into little more than the Junction 18 Happy Porker rest area, changed course 5 miles away, detoured in a great semicircle, and continued on its way oblivious to the little island of rural changelessness it had avoided. No one quite seemed to know why. One of the surveyors involved had a nervous breakdown, a second had become a monk, and a third had gone off to Bali to paint nude women. It was as if a large part of the 20th century had marked a few square miles out of bounds. I could be rated R, but I am only peachy. I'm glad. Ah, that's sweet. Yes, Sakura, thank you for coming in. Take care. You look after yourself. Oh, yes, there you go. Naked women, that gets Reen's attention, obviously. Hold up, you're rated PG. Allegedly. Anathema pulled another card out of her index and flicked it across the table. Some say it cometh in London town, or New York, but they be wrong, for the place is Tadfield. Strong in his power, he cometh like a knight in the knight in the fife. He divideth the world into 4 parts. He bringeth the storm. I had to go and look through a lot of county records, said Anathema. Why is this one 23:15? It's earlier than the others. Agnes was a bit slapdash about timing. I don't think she always knew what went where. I told you, we've spent ages devising a sort of system for chaining them together. Am I a distraction, Fox? Always, Reen. Always. But I'm not complaining. No, you're fine, Reen. Honestly, in all seriousness, you're fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. Newt looked at a few cards. For example, number 1111. And the great hound shall come, and the two powers shall watch in vain. For it goeth where its master, where they wot not, and he shall name it, true to its nature, and hell shall flee it. Thank you for the boop, Reen. I appreciate it. Zen, thank you for the hydrate. Let me get on that now. No, not the bongo cats. Come on. My poor noggin. Can't take this level of abuse, guys. Come on. Lovely. Thank you for the hydrate, Zen. I appreciate it. She's being unusually obtuse for Agnes, said Anathema. 30:17. I see 4 riding, bringing the end, and the angels and the angels of hell ride with them, and 3 with them, and 3 shall rise, and 4 together before, and the dark angel shall own defeat, yet the man shall claim his own. Why nice and accurate? Said Newt. Nice as in exact or precise, said Anathema, in the weary tones of one who'd explained this before. That's what it used to mean. But look, said Newt, nearly convinced himself about the non-existence of the UFO, which was clearly a figment of his imagination, and the Tibetan could have been, oh, well, he was working on it, but whatever it wasn't a Tibetan. But what he was more and more convinced of was that he was in a room with a very attractive woman who appeared actually to like him, or at least not to dislike him, which was a definite first for Newt. And admittedly, there seemed to be a lot of strange stuff going on, but if he really tried, poling the boat of common sense upstream against the raging current of the evidence, he could pretend it was all, well, weather balloons, or Venus, or mass hallucinations. -45 right now? Reen, keep yourself warm and wrapped up. Stay safe. Come now. I'm Canadian, all we talk about is weather. Reen, may I introduce you to the UK? Talking about the weather is our national pastime. Yes, -45. I honestly, I don't know how she does it. Hang on. A quick branch from the book for a second. So I've been talking to Reen, and Reen has been telling me about times, and she says, "Oh, it's a nice day out. It's a nice day out today. It's only -5," and I'm like, "How is that a nice day? That's below freezing. How?" Ah, I swear, honestly, Reen. I can't. It is not. Yeah, you tell me about. She goes, "Oh yes, I'm just going out in a t-shirt and like shorts or something," and I'm like, "What are you on about? Your t-shirt exactly? Yes. This is what I mean. She's insane. She's crazy." -10 in Sweden. Jeez. Guys, stay warm. Keep yourselves wrapped up. Stay safe. Come now. In short, whatever Newt was now thinking with, it wasn't his brain. But look, he said, the world isn't really going to end now, is it? I mean, just look around. It's not like there's any international tension. Well, any more than there normally is. Why don't we leave this stuff for a while and just go and, oh, I don't know, maybe we could just go for a walk or something, I mean. Don't you understand? There's something here, something that affects the area, she said. It's twisted all the ley lines. It's protecting the area against anything that might change it. It's... There it was again. The thought in her mind that she was not allowed to grasp, like a dream upon waking. The windows rattled. Outside, a sprig of jasmine, driven by the wind, started to bang insistently on the glass. But I can't get a fix on it, said Anathema, twisting her fingers together. I've tried everything. Fix? Said Newt. I've tried the pendulum, I've tried the Thordolite. I'm psychic, you see, but it seems to move around. Newt was still in control of his own mind enough to do the proper translation. When most people said, I'm psychic, you see, they meant I have an overactive but unoriginal imagination, / wear black nail varnish, talk to my budgie. When Anathema said it, it sounded as though she was admitting to a hereditary disease which she'd much prefer not to have. Considering 32 is freezing in freedom units, minus 45 would actually freeze my lungs. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, whether you're talking in Celsius or Fahrenheit, minus 45 is not a good temperature to be at. Armageddon moves around, said Newt. Various prophecies say the Antichrist has to rise first, said Anathema. Agnes says he. I can't spot him. Or her, said Newt. What? Could be a her, said Newt. This is the 20th century after all. Equal opportunities. I don't think you're taking this entirely seriously, she said severely. Anyway, there isn't any evil here. That's what I don't understand. There's just love. Sorry, said Newt. She gave him a helpless look. It's hard to describe it, she said. Something or someone loves this place, loves every inch of it, so powerful that it shields and protects it. A deep down, huge, fierce love. How can anything bad start here? How can the end of the world start in a place like this? This is the kind of town you'd want to raise your kids in. It's a kid's paradise. She smiled weakly. You should see the local kids. They're unreal. Right out of the boys' own paper. All scabby knees and brilliant and bullseyes. She nearly had it. She could feel the shape of the fort. She was gaining on it. What's this place? Said Newt. What? Anathema screamed as her train of thought was derailed. Newt's finger tapped at the map. Disused aerodrome, it said. Just here, look west of Tadfield itself. Anathema snorted. Disused? Don't you believe it? Used to be a wartime fighter base. It's been up at Tadfield Air Base for about 10 years or so, and before you say it, the answer's no. I hate everything about the bloody place, but the Colonel's saner than you are, by a long way. His wife does yoga, for God's sake. Nah, it's like shorts and t-shirt, whoever. Zen, don't encourage her. I have to head off, Fox. Vin just got here. I will jump back into it. Reen, it's quite alright. You go do what you need to do. I appreciate you coming in. We'll to be honest, Reen, by the time you're done with Vin, we'll probably be done, so it's all good. But yeah, take care, have fun, enjoy yourselves. Now, what was it she'd said before? The kids round here. She felt her mental feet slipping away from under her, and she fell back into the more personal thought waiting there to catch her. Newt was okay, really, and the thing about spending the rest of your life with him was he wouldn't be around long enough to get on your nerves. The radio was talking about South American rainforests. New ones. It began to hail. Hug, hug. No worries, Reen. Take it easy. Bullets of ice shredded the leaves around them as Adam led them down into the quarry. Dog slunk along with his tail between his legs, whining. This wasn't right, he was thinking. Just when I was getting the hang of rats. Just when I'd nearly sorted out that bloody German Shepherd across the road. Now he's going to end it all, and I'll be back with the old glowing eyes and chasing lost souls. What's the sense in that? They don't fight back, and there's no taste to them. Wensleydale, Brian, and Pepper were not thinking quite so coherently. All that they were aware of was that they could no more not follow Adam than fly. To try to resist the force marching them forward would simply result in multiple broken legs, and they'd still have to march. Adam wasn't thinking at all. Something had opened in his mind and was aflame. He sat them down on the crate. "We'll all be all right down here," he said. Said Wensleydale. "Don't you think our mothers and fathers?" "Don't you worry about them," said Adam loftily. "I can make some new ones. There won't be any of this being in bed by 9:30 either. You don't ever have to go to bed ever if you don't want to, or tidy your room or anything. You just leave it all to me and it will be great." He gave them a manic smile. "I've got some new friends coming," he confided. "You'll like them." "But," Wensleydale began. "You just think of all the amazing stuff afterwards," said Adam enthusiastically. "You can fill up America with all the new cowboys and Indians and policemen and gangsters and cartoons and spacemen and stuff. Won't that be fantastic?" Wensleydale looked miserably at the other two. They were sharing a thought that none of them would be able to articulate very satisfactorily, even in normal times. Broadly, it was that there had once been real cowboys and gangsters, and that was great. And there would always be pretend cowboys and gangsters, and that was also great. But real pretend cowboys and gangsters that were alive and not alive and could be put back in their box when you were tired of them, this did not seem great at all. The whole point about gangsters and cowboys and aliens and pirates was that you could stop being them and go home. "But before all that," said Adam darkly, "we're really going to show them." There was a tree in the plaza. It wasn't very big, and the leaves were yellow, and the light it got through the excitingly dramatic smoked glass was the wrong sort of light, and it was on more drugs than an Olympic athlete, and loudspeakers nestled in the branches. But it was a tree, and if you look half closed, if you half closed your eyes and looked at it over the artificial waterfall, you'd almost believe that you were looking at a sick tree through a fog of tears. Jaime Hernandez liked to have his lunch under it. The maintenance supervisor would shout at him if he found out, but Jaime had grown up on a farm, and it had been quite a good farm, and he had liked trees, and he didn't want to have to come into the city. But what could you do? It wasn't a bad job, and the money was the kind of money his father hadn't dreamed of. His grandfather hadn't dreamed of any money at all. He hadn't even known what money was until he was 15. But there were times when you needed trees. And the shame of it, Jaime thought. But what could you do? Where there were trees now, there were big farms. Where there were small farms, now there were plazas. And where there were plazas, there were still plazas, and that's how it went. He hid his trolley behind the newspaper stand, sat down furtively, and opened his lunchbox. It was then that he became aware of the rustling and a movement of shadows across the floor. He looked around. The tree was moving. He watched it with interest. Jaime had never seen a tree growing before. Zen, thank you for the hydrate, I appreciate it. Lovely. The soil, which was nothing more than a scree of some sort of artificial chippings, was actually crawling as the roots moved around under the surface. Jaime saw a thin white shoot creep down the side of the raised garden area and prod blindly at the concrete of the floor. Without ever knowing why, he nudged it gently with his foot until it was close to the crack between the slabs. He found it and bored down. The branches were twisting into different shapes. Jaime heard the screech of traffic outside the building, but didn't pay it any attention. Someone was yelling something, but someone was always yelling in Jaime's vicinity, often at him. The questing root must have found the buried soil. It changed colour and thickened like a fire hose when the water is turned on. The artificial waterfall stopped running. Jaime visualized fractured pipes blocked with sucking fibers. Now he could see what was happening outside. The street surface was heaving. The street surface was heaving like a sea. Saplings were pushing up between the cracks. Of course, he reasoned, they had sunlight. His tree didn't. All it had was the muted grey light that came down through the dome 4 stories up. Dead light. But what could you do? You could do this. The lights had stopped running because the power was off, but it was only 4 flights of stairs. Jaime carefully shut his lunchbox and padded back to his cart, where he selected his longest broom. People were pouring out of the building, yelling. Jaime moved amiably against the flow like a salmon going upstream. A white framework of girders, which the architect had presumably thought made a dynamic statement about something or other, held up the smoked glass dome. In fact, it was some sort of plastic, and it took Jaime, perched on a convenient strip of girder, all his strength and the full leverage of the broom's length to crack it. A couple more swings brought it down in lethal shards. The light poured in, lighting up the dust in the plaza so that the air looked as though it was full of fireflies. Far below, the tree burst the walls of its brushed concrete prison and rose like an express train. Jaime had never realized that trees make a sound when they grew, and no one else had realized it either, because the sound is made over hundreds of years in waves of 24 hours from peak to peak. Explosive, welcome on in. Thank you for the daily check-in. I hope you're having a wonderful day. The girders never stood a chance. The remnants of the dome went up like a ping-pong ball on a water spray. It was the same all over the city, except that you couldn't see the city anymore. All you could see was the canopy of green. It stretched from horizon to horizon. Jaime sat on his branch, clung to a liana, and laughed and laughed and laughed. Presently, it began to rain. The Kapamaki, a whaling research ship, was currently researching the question, how many whales can you catch in 1 week? Except that today, there weren't any whales. The crew stared at the screens, which by the application of ingenious technology could spot anything larger than a sardine and calculate its net value on the international market, and found them blank. The occasional fish that did show up was barreling through the waters, as if in a great hurry to get elsewhere. The captain drummed his fingers on the console. He was afraid that he might soon be conducting his own research project to find out what happened to a statistically small sample of whaler captains who came back without a factory ship full of research material. He wondered what they did to you. Maybe they locked you in a room with a harpoon gun and expected you to do the honorable thing. This was unreal. There ought to be something. The navigator punched up a chart and stared at it. "Honourable sir," he said. "What is it?" said the captain testily. "We seem to have a miserable instrument failure. Seabed in this area should be 200 meters. "What of it?" "I'm reading 15,000 meters, Honorable Sir, and still falling. That is foolish. There is no such depth. Hey Gabby, how's it going? Welcome on in, welcome on in. How are you doing? I hope you're having a good day. Hope you're taking care of yourselves. Thank you for joining us. The captain stared at several million yen's worth of cutting-edge technology and thumped it. The navigator gave a nervous smile. Ah, sir, he said, it is shallow already. Beneath the thunders of the upper deep, as Aziraphale and Tennyson both knew, far, far beneath, in the abyssal sea, the Kraken sleepeth. And now it was waking up. Millions of tons of deep ocean ooze cascade off its flanks as it rises. See, said the navigator, 3,000 meters already. The Kraken doesn't have eyes. There's never been anything for it to look at. But as it billows up through the icy waters, it picks up the microwave noise of the sea, the soaring beeps and whistles of the whale song. Said the navigator, 1,000 meters. The Kraken is not amused. 500 meters? The factory ship rocks on the sudden swell. 100 meters? There is a tiny metal thing above it. The Kraken stirs. And 10 billion sushi dinners cry out for vengeance. The cottage windows burst inward. This wasn't a storm. It was war. Fragments of jasmine whirled across the room, mingled with the rain of file cards. Newt and Anathema clung to one another in the space between the overturned table and the wall. Go on, muttered Newt. Tell me Agnes predicted this. She did say he bringeth the storm, said Anathema. This is a bloody hurricane. Did she say what's supposed to happen next? 2315 is cross-referenced to 3477, said Anathema. You can remember details like that at a time like this? Since you mention it, yes, she said. She held out a card. 3477. Let the wheel of fate turn. Let hearts enjoin. There are other fires than mine. When the wind bloweth the blossoms, reach out one to another. For the calm cometh when red and white and black and pale approach to appease is our professional. Newt read it again. There was a sound outside. A sound like a sheet of corrugated iron pinwheeling across the garden, which was exactly what it was. Is this supposed to mean, he said slowly, that we're supposed to become an item? That Agnes? What a joker. Courting is always difficult when the one being courted has an elderly female relative in the house. They tend to mutter or cackle or bum cigarettes, or in the worst case, get out the family photograph album, an act of aggression in the sex war which ought to be banned by a Geneva Convention. It's much worse when the relative has been dead for 300 years. Newt had indeed been harbouring certain thoughts about Anathema, not just harbouring them, in fact, but dry docking them, refitting them, giving them a good coat of paint, and scraping the barnacles off their bottom. But the idea of Agnes's second sight boring into the back of his head sloshed over his libido like a bucket of cold water. He had even been entertaining the idea of inviting her out for a meal, but he hated the idea of some Cromwellian witch sitting in her cottage 3 centuries earlier and watching him eat. He was in the mood in which people burned witches. His life was quite complicated enough without it being manipulated across the centuries by some crazed old woman. A thump in the grate sounded like part of the chimney stack coming down, and then he thought, my life isn't complicated at all. I can see it clearly, as Agnes might. It stretches all the way to early retirement. A whip round from the people in the office, a bright little neat flat somewhere, a neat little empty death, Except now I'm going to die under the ruins of a cottage during what might just possibly be the end of the world. The recording angel won't have any trouble with me. My life must have been dittos on every page for years. I mean, what have I ever really done? I've never robbed a bank. I've never had a parking ticket. I've never eaten Thai food. Somewhere, another window caved in, with a merry tinkle of breaking glass. Anathema put her arms around him, with a sigh which really didn't sound disappointed at all. I've never been to America, or France, because Calais doesn't really count. I've never learned to play a musical instrument. The radio died as the power lines finally gave up. He buried his face in her hair. I've never... There was a pinging sound. Shadwell, who had been bringing the army pay books up to date, looked up in the middle of signing for Witchfinder Lance Corporal Smith. It took him a while to notice that the gleam of Newt's pin was no longer on the map. Dude talking about having a boring existence, and all I can say is, I can relate to that. Hey, Zen, it's all fine, it's all fine. Still plenty of time to do things. It's all good. He got down from his stool, muttering under his breath, and searched around on the floor until he found it. He gave it another polish and put it back in Tadfield. He was just signing for Witchfinder Private Table, who got an extra tuppence a year hay allowance, when there was another ping. He retrieved the pin, glared at it suspiciously, and pushed it so hard into the map that the plaster behind it gave way. Then he went back to the ledgers. There was a ping. This time the pin was several feet from the wall. Shadwell picked it up, examined its point, pushed it into the map, and watched it. After about 5 seconds, it shot past his ear. He scrabbled for it on the floor, replaced it on the map, and held it there. It moved under his hand. He leaned his weight on it. A tiny thread of smoke curled out of the map. Shadwell gave a whimper and sucked his fingers as the red-hot pin ricocheted off the opposite wall and smashed a window. It didn't want to be in Tadfield. 10 seconds later, Shadwell was rummaging through the WA's cash box, which yielded a handful of copper, a 10-shilling note, and a small counterfeit coin from the reign of James I. Oh, guys, right. Ads are about to come in. So while the ads are playing, I'm going to put us onto the BRB screen. Go grab a drink, stretch your legs, get some food, do whatever you need to do, take care of yourselves, and I will see you all in about 2-3 minutes' time.
I could do the anime trope, be like the...
Oh.
Oh, hey. You good?
Wow.
Spicy.
Wow.
Look, Chat's feeling uncomfortable.
You did this. You started this.
Okay, it's fine, it's fine. Let me try doing the... Let me try and do... Hang on. Give me 2 seconds. Wait. Hey guys, wait, why have I got loading? No, you just ruined my intro, god damn it.
How? Why? I have so many questions!
I did
Did you
not.
see that, Chat? Hey!
Now I lifted you up. Don't you... What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop it. No. Let me kidnap you. Let me kidnap
no
you.
head pass for you then. No.
What?
No head pass for you.
Harsh, uncalled for.
You have been a worthy adversary, but unfortunately I'm a spoon. Oh, I'm a spoon. I read the second word of the first word. Not spoon. We're not spooning. No, I must soon put you to death.
In a way.
No, you're not.
Should
You're fine. No, you're fine.
Are you sure?
Yes,
taking
I'm
the
sure.
whole
No, you're not. You're fine. Shut up.
Don't tell me to shut up.
Because you're doubting yourself, and if you doubt yourself, I'm going to tell you to shut up. Okay.
Why did I think you said daddy?
Wait, what? Who said daddy?
Oh, I said doubting yourself. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm your sugar daddy or anything, but
Shut your mouth. You are not.
If Olympus, if your
do you blip? Blip.
Zeus, not even
Well, if I'm giving you so much disrespect, then there would be no chance of you dumping subs on me tonight. Cause as a sugar baby, as you say I am, I shouldn't be disrespecting
Confession,
you.
confession, confession. That's confession. That's confession. 100%. Clip
It's not
that.
a
Clip
confession.
that. Clip that. Emmy. Clip,
This is
clip,
not a
clip,
confession.
clip
This
that.
is not
Clip
a
that. Clip
confession.
that. Clip it. Clipping it. Good job, Ronan. Thank you, Ronan. Nope, 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 nope. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Nope, don't like that. Nope. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah. Don't like that. You did this to me. You.
Yes.
That, play the bullfrog there. I don't have many cards. I need to break open that one.
I know what else you could break open.
Oh my god. That was all of 2
Wait,
seconds.
did I say that out loud? My bad. My
Yes! Yes, you did.
bad. God damn it.
That was all of 2. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We are now done with the ads. We have no more ads for the rest of stream, so we can just relax, enjoy the rest of the book, take it nice and easy. Ninja, thank you very much for the sub. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Hope you're having a good day. Welcome on in. I don't know why Twitch is being benevolent to me like this, lol. Okay, so I'm going to go slightly off topic from the book for a minute, but yeah, so I think that lately Twitch has been having, I think they've got less people advertising on the platform, so that might result in less, what do you call it, less ads to fill spaces. So I don't know, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why you're getting less ads, or maybe Twitch is being benevolent. Who knows? But anyway, like I said, you shouldn't have any more ads now, thankfully, so. Regardless of personal safety, he rummaged in his own pockets. The results of the troll, even with his pensioner's concessionary travel pass taken in consideration, were barely enough to get him out of the house, let alone to Tadfield. The only other people he knew who had money were Mr. Heat and Madame Tracy. As far as the Heats were concerned, the question of 7 weeks' rent would probably crop up in any financial discussion he instigated at this point. And as for Madame Tracy, who'd only be too willing to lend him a handful of used tenors. I'd be swaggered if I tell if I'll tack the wages of oh god, I swear it's the accent I have to do for this. I'll be swaggered if I'll take the wages of Sunfrey, the painted Jezebel, he said, which left no one, save one, the Southern Pansy. They'd each been here just once, spending as little time as possible in the room, and in Xerophail's case trying not to touch any flat surface. The other one, the swish southern bastard in the sunglasses, was, Shadwell suspected, not someone he ought to offend. In Shadwell's simple world, anyone in sunglasses who wasn't actually on a beach was probably a criminal. Bro, I ranked down much as fucking Gorilla Tag, I swear. Oh, Snowy, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Hey, Snowy, if it helps, so at the moment, I don't normally play much in the way of ranked games in Marvel Rivals, but lately I have been playing a few more, and the reason I've been playing a few more is because they said that there's about a week left of the current, until like the halfway point of this season. And then at the halfway point of the season, anyone in gold tier gets a skin. And I'm like, Free skin? I want the free skin. I mean, I'm mid-silver at the moment, and I'm thinking it shouldn't be too much work to get up into gold. I just need to get some good games. So it's okay, Snowy. I know what you're going through. It's fine. Don't worry. Okay. He suspected that Crowley was from the Mafia or the underworld, although he would have been surprised by how right he nearly was. But the soft one in the camel hair coat was a different matter, and he'd risked trailing him back to his base once, and he could have remembered the way. He thought Aziraphale was a Russian spy. You could ask him for money, threaten him a bit. It was terribly risky. Shadwell pulled himself together. Even now, young Newt might be suffering unimaginable tortures at the hands of the Daughters of the Night, and he, Shadwell, had sent him. "We cannae leave our people in there," he said, and put on his thin overcoat and shapeless hat and went out into the streets. The weather seemed to be blowing up a bit. It's just that the ranking system is so sensitive. I know what you mean. Aziraphale was divering. He'd been divering for some 12 hours. His nerves, he would have said, were all over the place. He walked around the shop, picking up bits of paper and dropping them again, fiddling with pens. He ought to tell Crowley. No, he didn't. He wanted to tell Crowley. He ought to tell Heaven. It's alright, Ninja, don't worry. How's it going? Just gone done with working out? That's completely understandable. Glad to hear you're taking care of yourself. The stream is going well. We're making good progress with Good Omens. We are... oh god, what are we now? We're over the halfway point. That much is apparent. Thank you for the hydrate, Zen. I appreciate it. We're currently reading about the end of the world, so it's great. But no, we're reading Good Omens. It's an excellent book. I thoroughly recommend it if you haven't read it yourself. He was an angel after all. You had to do the right thing. It was built in. You see, a while you thought. Crowley had put his finger on it right enough. He ought to have told Heaven right from the start. But he'd known him for thousands of years. They got along. They nearly understood one another. He sometimes suspected they had more in common with each other than with their respective superiors. They both liked the world for one thing, rather than viewing it as simply as the board on which the cosmic game of chess was being played. Well, of course, that was it. That was the answer. Staring him in the face. It'd be true to the spirit of his pact with Crowley if he tipped Heaven the wink, and then they could quietly do something about the child. Although, nothing too bad, of course, because we were all God's creatures when you got down to it. Even people like Crowley and the Antichrist. And the world would be saved, and they wouldn't have to be all that Armageddon business, which would do nobody any good anyway, because everyone knew Heaven would win in the end, and Crowley would be bound to understand. Yes, and then everything would be alright. There was a knock at the shop door. Despite the close sign, he ignored it. Getting in touch with Heaven for two-way communication was far more difficult for Aziraphale than it is for humans, who don't expect an answer and in nearly all cases would be rather surprised to get one. He pushed aside the paper-laden desk and rolled up the threadbare bookshop carpet. There was a small circle chalked on the floorboards underneath, surrounded by suitable passages from the Kabbalah. The angel lit 7 candles which he placed ritually at certain points around the circle. Then he lit some incense, which was not necessary, but did make the place smell nice. And then he stood in the circle and said the words. Nothing happened. He said the words again. Eventually, a bright blue shaft of light shot down from the ceiling and filled the circle. A well-educated voice said, "Well?" It's me, Aziraphale." "We know," said the voice. Zen, thank you for the hydrate. I appreciate that. Let me take care of that now. Lovely. I've got great news. I've located the Antichrist. I can give you his address and everything. There was a pause. The blue light flickered. Well, it said again. But, do you see, you can stop it all happening. In the nick of time. You've only got a few hours. You can stop it all and there needn't be the war and everyone will be saved. He beamed madly into the light. Yes, said the voice. Yes, he's in a place called Lower Tadfield, and the address... Well done, said the voice, in flat, dead tones. There doesn't have to be any of that business with 1/3 of the seas turning to blood or anything, said Aziraphale happily. When it came, the voice sounded slightly annoyed. Why not? It said. Aziraphale felt an icy pit opening under his enthusiasm and tried to pretend it wasn't happening. He plunged on. Or you can simply make sure that we will win, Aziraphale. Yes, but the forces of darkness must be beaten. You seem to be under a misapprehension. The point is not to avoid the war, it is to win it. We have been waiting a long time, Aziraphale. Aziraphale felt the coldness envelop his mind. He opened his mouth to say, Do you think perhaps it would be a good idea not to hold the war on Earth? And changed his mind. I see, he said grimly. There was a scraping near the door, and if Aziraphale had been looking in that direction, he would have seen a battered felt hat trying to peer over the fanlight. This is not to say you have not performed well, said the voice. You will receive a commendation. Well done. Thank you, said Aziraphale. The bitterness in his voice would have soured milk. I'd forgotten about ineffability, obviously. We thought you had. May I ask, said the angel, to whom have I been speaking? The voice said, We are the Metatron. The Metatron is, of course, the voice of God, but not the voice of God, an entity in its own right, rather like a presidential spokesman. Oh, yes, of course. Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you. Behind him, the letterbox tilted open, revealing a pair of eyes. One other thing, said the voice. You will of course be joining us, won't you? Well, of course, it has been simply ages since I've held a flaming sword, Aziraphale began. Yes, we recall, said the voice. You will have a lot of opportunity to relearn. What sort of initiating event will precipitate the war? Said Aziraphale. We thought a multinational nuclear exchange would be a nice start. Oh, yes, very imaginative. Aziraphale's voice was flat and hopeless. Good. We will expect you directly then, said the voice. Well, I'll just clear up a few business matters, shall I? Said Aziraphale desperately. There hardly seems to be any necessity, said the Metatron. Aziraphale drew himself up. I really feel that probity, not to say morality, demands that as a reputable businessman I should... Yes, said the Metatron, a shade testily. Point taken. We shall await you then. The light faded, but did not quite vanish. They're leaving the line open, Aziraphale thought. I'm not getting out of this one. Hello, he said softly. Anyone still there? There was silence. Very carefully he stepped over the circle and crept to the telephone. He opened his notebook and dialed another number. After 4 rings, it gave a little cough, followed by a pause, and then a voice which sounded so laid back you could put a carpet on it said, Hi, this is Anthony Crowley. Crowley, Aziraphale tried to hiss and shout at the same time. Listen, I haven't got much time. They're probably not in right now, or asleep and busy or something like that, but... Shut up, listen. It was in Tadfield. It's all in that book. You've got to stop after the tone and I'll get right back to you. Ciao. I want to talk to you now. Beep. Stop making noises. It's in Tadfield. That was what I was sensing. You must go there. And he took the phone away from his mouth. Bugger, he said. It was the first time he'd sworn in more than 4,000 years. Hold on. The demon had another line, didn't he? He was that kind of person. Aziraphale fumbled in the book, nearly dropping it on the floor. They would be getting impatient soon. He found the other number. He dialed it. It was answered almost immediately, at the same time as the shop's bell tingled gently. Crowley's voice, getting louder as it neared the mouthpiece, said, Really mean it. Hello? Crowley, it's me. The voice was horribly non-committal. Even in his present state, Aziraphale sensed trouble. Are you alone? He said cautiously. No, got an old friend here. Listen. Ow, you spawn of hell. Very slowly, Aziraphale turned around. Oh, God. Shadwell was trembling with excitement. He'd seen it all. He'd heard it all. He didn't understand any of it, but he knew that what people did with circles and candlesticks and incense. He knew that all right. He'd seen the devil rides out 15 times. 16 times if you include the time he'd been thrown out of the cinema for shouting his unflattering opinions on amateur witchfinder Christopher Lee. The buggers were using him. They'd been making fools out of the glorious traditions of the army. I'll have ye, you evil bastard, he shouted, advancing like a moth-eaten avenging angel. I ken what you be about coming up here and seducing women to do your evil will. I think perhaps you've got the wrong shop, said Aziraphale. I'll call later, he told the receiver and hung up. I could see what you're about, snarled Shadwell. There were flecks of foam around his mouth. He was more angry than he could ever remember. Things are not what they seem, Aziraphale began, aware even as he said it that as conversational gambits went, it lacked a certain polish. I bet they ain't, said Shadwell triumphantly. No, I mean, without taking his eyes off the angel, Shadwell shuffled backwards and grabbed the shop door, slamming it hard so that the bell jangled. Bell, he said. He grabbed the nice and accurate prophecies and thumped it down heavily on the table. Book, he snarled. He fumbled in his pocket and produced his trusty Ronson. Practically candle, he shouted, and began to advance. In his path, the circle glowed with a faint blue light. Said Aziraphale. I think it might not be a very good idea to... Shadwell wasn't listening. By the powers invested in me by virtue of my office of Witchfinder, he intoned, I charge you to quit from this place. You see, the circle, and return henceforth to the place from which ye came, pausing not to... It would be really unwise for a human to set foot in it without... And deliver us from evil. Keep out of the circle, you stupid man. Never to come again to vex. Yes, but please keep out of... Aziraphale ran towards Shadwell, waving his hands urgently. Returning no more, Shadwell finished. He pointed a vengeful black-nailed finger. Aziraphale looked down at his feet and swore for the second time in 5 minutes. He'd stepped into the circle. Oh fuck, he said. There was a melodious twang, and the blue glow vanished. So did Aziraphale. 30 seconds went by. Shadwell didn't move. Then, with a trembling left hand, he reached up and carefully lowered his right hand. Hello? He said. Hello? No one answered. Shadwell shivered. Then, with his hand held out in front of him like a gun that he didn't dare fire and didn't know how to unload, he stepped out into the street, letting the door slam behind him. It shook the floor. One of Aziraphale's candles fell over, spilling burning wax across the old dry wood. Crowley's London flat was the epitome of style. Epitome, one moment. The epitome of style. It was everything that a flat should be. Spacious, white, elegantly furnished, and with that designer unlived-in look that only comes from not being lived in. This is because Crowley did not live there. It was simply the place he went back to at the end of the day when he was in London. The beds were always made, the fridge was always stocked with gourmet food that never went off. That was why Crowley had a fridge after all. And for that matter, the fridge never needed to be defrosted or even plugged in. The lounge contained a huge television, a white leather sofa, a video and a laserdisc player, an answer phone, 2 telephones, the answer phone line and the private line, a number so far undiscovered by the legions of telephone salesmen who persisted in trying to sell Crowley double glazing, which he already had, or life insurance, which he didn't need. And a square matte black sound system, the kind so exquisitely engineered that it just has the on-off switch and the volume control. The only sound equipment Crowley had overlooked was speakers. He'd forgotten about them. Not that it made any difference. The sound reproduction was quite perfect anyway. Ninja, thank you for the lurk, I appreciate it. Thank you for dropping by. There was an unconnected fax machine with the intelligence of a computer, and a computer with the intelligence of a retarded ant. Nevertheless, Crowley upgraded it every few months, because a sleek computer was the sort of thing Crowley felt was the sort of because a sleek computer was the sort of thing Crowley felt that the sort of human he tried to be would have. This one was like a Porsche with a screen. The manuals were still in their transparent wrappings, along with the standard computer warranty agreement, which said that if the machine 1 didn't work, 2 didn't do what the expensive advertisement said, 3 electrocuted the immediate neighborhood, 4 and in fact failed entirely to be inside the expensive box when you opened it. This was expressly, absolutely, implicitly, and in no event the fault or responsibility of the manufacturer. That the purchaser should consider himself lucky to be allowed to give his money to the manufacturer, and that any attempt to treat what had just been paid for as the purchaser's own property would result in the attentions of serious men with menacing briefcases and very thin watches. Crowley had been extremely impressed with the warranties offered by the computer industry, and had in fact sent a bundle below to the department that drew up the immortal soul agreements with a yellow memo form attached just saying, "Learn, guys." In fact, the only thing in the flat Crowley devoted any personal attention to were the houseplants. They were huge and green and glorious, with shiny, healthy, lustrous leaves. This was because once a week, Crowley went around the flat with a green plastic plant mister, spraying the leaves and talking to the plants. He'd heard about talking to plants in the early 70s on Radio 4 and thought it an excellent idea, although talking is perhaps the wrong word for what Crowley did. What he did was put the fear of God into them. More precisely, the fear of Crowley. In addition to which, every couple of months, Crowley would pick out a plant that was growing too slowly, or succumbing to leaf wilt, or browning, or just didn't quite look as good as the others, and he would carry it around to all the other plants. Say goodbye to your friend, he'd say to them. He just couldn't cut it. Then he would leave the flat with the offending plant and return an hour or so later with a large empty flower pot, which he would leave somewhere conspicuously around the flat. The plants were the most luxurious, verdant and beautiful in London, also the most terrified. The lounge was lit by spotlights and white neon tubes of the kind one casually props against a chair or a corner. The only wall decoration was a framed drawing, a cartoon for the Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci's original sketch. Crowley had bought it from the artist one hot afternoon in Florence and felt it was superior to the final painting. Leonardo had felt so too. I got her bloody smile right in the roughs, he told Crowley, sipping cold wine in the lunchtime sun. But it went all over the place when I painted it. The husband had a few things to say about it when I delivered it, but like I tell him, Signor del Giocondo, apart from you, who's going to see it? Anyway, explain this helicopter thing again, will you? Crowley had a bedroom and a kitchen and an office and a lounge and a toilet, each room forever clean and perfect. He had spent an uncomfortable time in each of these rooms during the long wait for the end of the world. He'd phoned his operatives in the Witchfind Army again to try to get news, but his contact, Sergeant Shadwell, had just gone out, and the dim-witted receptionist seemed unable to grasp that he was willing to talk to any of the others. Mr. Pulsifer is out too, love, she told him. He went down to Tadfield this morning on a mission. I'll speak to anyone, Crowley had explained. I'll tell Mr. Shadwell that, she had said, when he gets back. Now, if you don't mind, it's one of my mornings, and I can't leave my gentleman like that for long, or he'll catch his death. And at 2 I've got Miss Ormerod and Mr. Scroggy and young Julia coming over for a sitting, and there's the place to clean and all beforehand, but I'll give Mr. Shadwell your message. Crowley gave up. He tried to read a novel, but couldn't concentrate. He tried to sort his CDs into alphabetical order, but gave up when he discovered they already were in alphabetical order, as was his bookcase and his collection of soul music. He was very proud of his collection. It had taken him ages to put together. This was real soul music. James Brown wasn't in it. Eventually he settled down on the white leather sofa and gestured on the television. Reports are coming in, said a worried newscaster. Reports are, well, nobody seems to know what's going on, but reports available to us would seem to indicate an increase in international tensions that would have undoubtedly been viewed as impossible this time last week when everyone seemed to be getting on so nicely. This would seem at least partly due to the spate of unusual events which have occurred over the last few days. Off the coast of Japan. Crowley. Yes, admitted Crowley. What the hell is going on, Crowley? What exactly have you been doing? How do you mean? Crowley asked, though he already knew. The boy called Warlock. We have brought him to the fields of Megiddo. The dog is not with him. The child knows nothing of the Great War. He is not our master's son. Ah, said Crowley. Is that all you can say, Crowley? Our troops are assembled. The 4 beasts have begun to ride. But where are they riding to? Something has gone wrong, Crowley. And it is your responsibility, and in all probability your fault. We trust you have a perfectly reasonable explanation for all this. Oh yes, agreed Crowley readily. Perfectly reasonable. Sly, thank you for the lurk, I appreciate it. Hey Eerie, welcome on in. Thank you for your daily check-in, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for your lurk as well. I hope you're all doing okay. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Because you are going to have your chance to explain it all to us. You are going to have all the time there is to explain, and we will listen with great interest to everything you have to say, and your conversation and the circumstances that will accompany it will provide a source of entertainment and pleasure for all the damned of hell, Crowley, because no matter how racked with torment, no matter what agonies the lowest of the damned are suffering, Crowley, you will have it worse. With a gesture, Crowley turned the set off. The dull grey screen continued enunciating. The silence formed itself into words. Do not even think about trying to escape us, Crowley. There is no escape. Stay where you are. You will be collected. Got a major migraine from work, so I should be looking to Eerie. That's completely understandable. Please take care of yourself. I hope work went okay. But yeah, look after yourself, Eerie. And yeah, I was going to say, I hope you're feeling better soon. Not the migraine. Exactly, Zen. Exactly. Not the migraines. We don't want that. Crowley went to the window and looked out. Something black and car-shaped was moving slowly down the street towards him. It was car-shaped enough to fool the casual observer. Crowley, who was observing very carefully, noticed that not only were the wheels not going round, but they weren't even attached to the car. It was slowing down as it passed each house. Crowley assumed that the car's passengers, neither of them would be driving, neither of them knew how, were peering out at the house numbers. He had a little time. Crowley went into the kitchen and got a plastic bucket from under the sink. Then he went back into the lounge. The infernal authorities had ceased communicating. Crowley turned the television to the wall just in case. He walked over to the Mona Lisa. Crowley lifted the picture down from the wall, revealing a safe. It was not a wall safe. It had been bought from a company that specialized in servicing the nuclear industry. He unlocked it, revealing an inner door with a dial tumbler lock. He spun the dial. 4004 was the code. Easy to remember. The year he had slithered onto this stupid, marvelous planet, back when it was gleaming and new. Inside the safe was a thermos flask, 2 heavy PVC gloves of the kind that covered one's entire arms, and some tongs. Crowley paused. He eyed the flat nervously. There was a crash from downstairs. That had been the front door. He pulled on the gloves and gingerly took the flask and the tongs and the bucket, and as an afterthought, he grabbed the plant mister from beside a luxuriant rubber plant and headed for his office, walking like a man carrying a thermos flask full of something that might cause, if he dropped it, or even thought about dropping it, the sort of explosion that impels greybeards to make statements like, "And where this crater is now, once stood the city of Washington." He reached his office, nudged open the door with his shoulder, then he bent his knees and slowly put things down on the floor. Bucket, tongs, plant mister, and finally, deliberately, the flask. A bead of sweat began to form on Crowley's forehead and trickled down into one eye. He flicked it away. Then with care and deliberation, he used the tongs to unscrew the top of the flask. Carefully. That was it. A pounding on the stairs below him and a muffled scream. That would have been the little old lady on the floor below. He could not afford to rush. He gripped the flask with the tongs, and taking care not to spill the tiniest drop, he poured the contents into the plastic bucket. One false move was all it would take. There. Then he opened the office door about 6 inches and placed the bucket on top. He used the tongs to place the top of the flask. Then, a crash from his outer hallway, pulled off the PVC gloves, picked up the plant demister, and settled himself behind his desk. "Crowley," called a guttural voice. "Hastur." "He's through here," hissed another voice. "I can feel the slimy little creak. Ligger." Hastur and Ligger. Now, as Crowley would be the first to protest, most demons weren't deep down evil. In the great cosmic game, they felt they occupy the same position as tax inspectors, doing an unpopular job maybe, but essential to the overall operation of the whole thing. If it came to that, some angels weren't paragons of virtue. Crowley had met one or two who, when it came to righteously smiting the ungodly, smote a good deal harder than was strictly necessary. On the whole, everyone had a job to do, just did it. And on the other hand, you got people like Ligger and Hastur, who took such a delight in unpleasantness, you might even have mistaken them for human. Crowley leaned back in his executive chair. He forced himself to relax, and failed appallingly. "In here, people," he called. "We want a word with you," said Ligger, in a tone of voice intended to imply that word was synonymous with horribly painful eternity, and the squat demon pushed open the office door. The bucket teetered, then fell neatly on Ligger's head. "Drop a lump of sodium in water," watch it flame and burn and spin around crazily, flaring and sputtering. This was just like that, but nastier. The demon peeled and flared and flickered. Oily brown smoke oozed from it, and it screamed and it screamed and it screamed. Then it crumpled, folded on itself, and what was left lay glistening on the burnt and blackened circle of carpet, looking like a handful of mashed slugs. "Hi," said Crowley to Hasta, who had been walking behind Liquor and had unfortunately not been so much as splashed. "There are some things that are unthinkable. There are some depths that not even demons would believe other demons would stoop to." "Holy water, you bastard," said Hasta. "You complete bastard. He hadn't never done nothing to you." "Yet," corrected Crowley, who felt a little more comfortable now the odds were closer to even. Closer, but not yet even. Not by a long shot. Hasta was a Duke of Hell. Crowley wasn't even a local councillor. Knew it was holy water. Yes, yes. "Your fate will be whispered by mothers in dark places to frighten their young," said Hasta, and then felt the language of hell wasn't up to the job. "You're going to get taken to the bloody cleaners, pal," he added. Crowley raised the green plastic mister, sloshed it around threateningly. "Go away," he said. He heard the phone downstairs ringing 4 times, and then the answer phone caught it. He wondered vaguely who it was. "You don't frighten me," said Hasta. He watched a drip of water leak down the nozzle and slide slowly down the side of the plastic container towards Crowley's hand. "Do you know what this is?" asked Crowley. "This is a Sainsbury's plant mister. Cheapest and most efficient plant mister in the world. It can squirt a fine spray of water into the air. Do I need to tell you what's in it? It can turn you into that." He pointed to the mess on the carpet. "Now go away." Then the drip on the side of the plant mister reached Crowley's curled fingers and stopped. "You're bluffing," said Hasta. "Maybe I am," said Crowley in a tone of voice which he hoped made it quite clear that bluffing was the last thing on his mind. "And maybe I'm not. Do you feel lucky?" Hasta gestured, and the plastic bulb dissolved like rice paper, spilling water all over Crowley's desk and all over Crowley's suit. "Yes," said Hasta, and then he smiled. His teeth were too sharp, and his tongue flicked between them. "Do you?" Crowley said nothing. Plan A had worked. Plan B had failed. Everything depended on Plan C. And there was one drawback to this. He had only ever planned as far as Plan B. "So," hissed Hasta, "time to go, Crowley." "I think there's something you ought to know," said Crowley, stalling for time. "And that is?" smiled Hasta. Then the phone on Crowley's desk rang. He picked it up and warned Hasta, "Don't move. There's something very important you should know, and I really mean it. Hello?" Said Crowley. Then he said, "Nah, got an old friend here." Aziraphale hung up on him. Crowley wondered what he had wanted. And suddenly Plan C was there, in his head. He didn't replace the handset on the receiver. Instead he said, "Okay, Hasta, you've passed the test. You're ready to start playing with the big boys." "Have you gone mad?" "Nope, don't you understand? This was a test. The Lords of Hell had to know that you were trustworthy before we gave you command of the Legions of the Damned in the war ahead." "Crowley, you are lying, or you are insane. Or possibly you are both," said Hasta. But his certainty was shaken. Just for a moment, he had entertained the possibility that was where Crowley had got him. It was just possible that Hell was testing him, that Crowley was more than he seemed. Hasta was paranoid, which was simply a sensible and well-adjusted reaction to living in Hell, where they really were all out to get you. Crowley began to dial a number. "It's okay, Duke Hasta. I wouldn't expect you to believe it from me," he admitted. "But why don't we talk to the Dark Council? I'm sure they can convince you." Aziraphale, get your ass there. I know. The number he had dialed clicked and started to ring. "So long, sucker," he said, and vanished. In a tiny fraction of a second, Hasta was gone as well. Over the years, a huge number of theological man-hours have been spent debating the famous question: how many angels can dance on the head of a pin? In order to arrive at an answer, the following facts must be taken into consideration. Firstly, angels simply don't dance. It's one of the distinguishing characteristics that marks an angel. They may listen appreciatively to the music of the spheres, but they don't feel the urge to get down and boogie to it. So none. At least, nearly none. Aziraphale had learned to gavotte in a discreet gentleman's club in Portland Place in the late 1880s, and while he had initially taken to it like a duck to a merchant banking, after a while he'd become quite good at it, and was quite put out when some decades later the gavotte went out of style for good. Oh, I spelled the angel wrong. I knew what you meant, Emmy, don't worry, it's all good. So providing the dance was a gavotte, and providing that he had a suitable partner, also able, for the sake of argument, both to gavotte and to dance it on the head of a pin, the answer is a straightforward 1. Then again, you might just as well ask how many demons can dance on the head of a pin. They're of the same original stock after all, and at least they dance. Although it's not what you and I would call dancing. Not good dancing anyway. A demon moves like the British group in the Eurovision Song Contest. And if you put it that way, the answer is quite a lot actually, providing they abandon their physical bodies, which is a picnic for a demon. Demons aren't bound by physics. If you take the long view, the universe is just something small and round, like those water-filled balls which produce a miniature snowstorm when you shake them. Although, unless the ineffable plan is a lot more ineffable than it is given credit for, it does not have a giant plastic snowman at the bottom. But if you look from really close up, the only problem about dancing on the head of a pin is all those big gaps between electrons. For those of angel stock or demon breed, size and shape and composition are simply options. Crowley is currently travelling incredibly fast down a telephone line. Ring. Crowley went through 2 telephone exchanges at a very respectable fraction of light speed. Hasta was a little way behind him, 4 or 5 inches, but the size it gave Crowley a very comfortable lead, one that would vanish of course when he came out the other end. They were too small for sound, but demons don't necessarily need sound to communicate. You could hear Hasta screaming behind him, "You bastard! I'll get you! You can't escape me!" Ring. Wherever you come out, I'll come out too. You won't get away. Crowley had travelled through over 20 miles of cable in less than a second. Hasta was close behind him. Crowley was going to have to time this whole thing very, very carefully. Ring. That was the 3rd ring. Well, thought Crowley, here goes nothing. He stopped suddenly and watched Hasta shoot past him. Hasta turned and... ring. Crowley shot out through the phone line, zapped through the plastic sheathing and materialised, full-sized and out of breath in his lounge. Click. The outgoing message tape began to turn on the answer phone. Then there was a beep, and as the incoming message tape turned, a voice from the speaker screamed after the beep. "Right." "What?" "You bloody snake!" The little red message light began to flash, on and off like a tiny red angry eye. Crowley really wished he had some more holy water and the time to hold the cassette in it until it dissolved, but getting a hold of Ligger's terminal bath had been dangerous enough. He'd had it for years just in case, and even its presence in the room had made him uneasy. Or maybe, yes, what would happen if he put the cassette in the car? He could play Hasta over and over again until he turned into Freddie Mercury. No, he might be a bastard, but you could only go so far. There was a rumble of distant thunder. He had no time to spare. He had nowhere to go. He went anyway. He ran down to his Bentley and drove towards the West End, as if all the demons of hell were after him, which was more or less the case. Okay guys, we've got to the end of that chapter. we've made some good progress. We're getting through the book. I do like that chapter. That's one of my favorites. Especially when he describes how when he describes thank you for the hydrate, Zen. Let me take care of that. Oh god. Especially when he describes the whole chase through the phone line and everything. It's very good. But anyway, right, let me I will just sort this out quickly. Let's okay, so guys, thank you very much for coming in today. I really do appreciate it. We are streaming again tomorrow. We will be black. We will be black. God, Jesus, I'm gonna get cancelled now. We will be back tomorrow with some more Planet Crafter. Looking forward to that. It's been almost a week since we last played. I'm really enjoying it so far. We made some good progress on the planet. It's looking very blue. But yeah. So looking forward to that. But we should be doing that tomorrow, 8 PM GMT time. So yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed you guys can join us. We'd love to see you all there. But anyway, in the meantime, guys, please do take care of yourselves. I'm going to have a quick look to see if anybody is online that I can raid. Oh, Serene's on. What's she playing at the moment? Oh, she's playing No Man's Sky in VR. Oh, that's quite cool. Yeah, we'll go and raid over to her. Okay, right. Guys, okay, so we're going to raid over to Serene. I think I did raid them not that long ago. Yeah, I did, but it's fine. She's only got a few viewers, so we'll just go and show a bit of support. So, yeah, hang on, let me do the raid messages. Raid sub. Always good to see. Okay, cool. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for coming today. I really do appreciate it. Please do have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Please do look after yourselves. Make sure that you guys are hydrating, eating well, looking after yourself both physically and mentally. And yeah, I hope to catch you all very, very soon. Guys, please do look after yourself. Thank you for the story time. No worries, Zen. Zen, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Rolf, thank you for copying the raid message. I got mine as well. There we go. Good. Make sure I'm prepared. But yeah. We will head on out. I'll have a quick hydrate before we go. Oh god, we're about to run out of time. Hang on. Lovely. There we go. Right, here we go, guys. I'll catch you all later. Have a good rest of your night, everybody. And yeah, I will speak to you all very, very soon. See you guys later. Let's go.